So, yeah, I'm here with Chris and Daniel from Cyberfin. Just wanted to ask you guys, what should agents be caring about in 2023 as far as their cybersecurity? What are the threats out there? Just share with us what you guys have.
Yeah, so we've spent a number of months working with other risk managers and risk managers, both from the insurance standpoint, financial services, and other government agencies. And after surveying them, over 30% of them have come back and saying that cyber threats are the number one risk to any small to medium sized business, and insurance agencies, if you will, are included in there in 2023. Close second is business interruption. And most business interruption is actually from a cyber event of some sort or another. So if you really look at it, the number one thing to start paying attention to is that cyber threats have now become the number one and two business threats to any organization, both from a financial standpoint and from an overall productivity standpoint. So as an agency out there and you're looking to try to grow in 2023, you're trying to expand your agency, you're trying to provide better value and better reputation in the market, keeping an eye on cybersecurity and what cyber threats are out there are a big part of that. Along with it, Gillen, the next part is that the threats have become even more concentrated and even more complex because of what's going on internationally, not just nationally, right? So, with the war in Russia and Ukraine continuing to go on, with the gross domestic product of North Korea becoming now number one is cyber extortion. With more and more threats going on in other parts of the world, those are now coming to the home, right? So those are coming down and they're saying, okay, we no longer can use the Sony breaches or the Colonial pipelines or those famous ones you've heard. Now it's, okay, how do I get into a small business who has access to a bigger business so I can make a little money, right? And I can reinvest. Think about it, just like a business, right? Make a little money, reinvest in it, and then go ahead and try to go after the big guys from the backside. And again, they're using more and more tactics than ever before. That isn't just saying, "Hey, look, ransomware," right? You've all heard of ransomware. We've talked about it over and over again. Ransomware has shifted because everybody all of a sudden paid attention to ransomware, right? They thought by putting in multi-factor authentication was going to slow down ransomware, which it did. But all the bad guys did was change their methodologies, or even worse, what we just found out a few weeks ago is now they're starting to spoof or starting to replicate multi-factor authentication, even though you might already have it in place. If that's your only line of defense, that's no longer um, the break in the wall, if you will, or the strength in the wall.
So, tell me more about the multi-factor authentication. What is going on there?
Yeah, sure. So in order to, because they know that the layers behind multi-factor authentication, they meaning the cyber criminals, what they're learning to do is using cookies and using other forms of internet technology and email technology to find a way into your multi-factor authentication, to replicate it, right? Everybody thinks their mobile device is protected. It's, because they've heard of Apple security or whatever it might be. Well, they're actually getting into the mobile phones, and then they're actually able to replicate them accepting to get into a second form of authentication. You've seen the most recent LastPass breach, correct? The LastPass breach, they were able to get in there. They were able to do it by spoofing someone else's multi-factor authentication, and now they've taken down all of those vaults, right? So if you're using LastPass today, please go out and change your master password, and also go ahead and if take the time and replace all the passwords on all the sites that are using LastPass today, because they're using thousands of computers to basically hack into the vaults of all those passwords right now. Those are examples of where, and maybe that's a little more complex, Gillen, than what you're looking for, but those are what's going on there right now. From that side of it. Right. And the beauty of working with Cyberfin, so we were one of the first organizations to actually alert our constituents, our customers, because we had seen the alert. We had seen some of the activity happening within our customer base, right, of things that were happening around LastPass. And when we got the notification from LastPass, it said, yeah, we don't think there was much to it, right? That was in August. By December, they sent out a 3-sentence little announcement basically saying, yeah, you might want to go look into this. I think there was more to this than what we originally thought. Well, within a matter of less than 24 hours, we had been able to notify all of our customers. We've been working day and night with those that have LastPass accounts, whether for business or in personal, and helping them with this, helping them navigate through something like this, right? That is what having a cybersecurity service does for you, right? So that you don't have to do it alone from that standpoint of it. So that's just an example of what's going on. And 5 years ago, it was only at the enterprise level that you'd have to worry about this, right? Now it's, even yourself, Gillen, from a personal perspective, right? Or from a small business perspective, if you try to use something as simple as LastPass.
Well, I think the thing is too is when we get into breaches that happen with LastPass, in the past, and we're a big user of it. We're on their enterprise and we are using it across all of our employees, and we've got numbers, probably 100 plus insurance company websites that are on it and other user parts. But I think for me, it's knowing that we have that multi-layer protection. So even though one part has been breached in the past, I would have been completely concerned about the fact that we could be get hit or attacked from everywhere. But now the way I look at it is, look, we can start to go through and make these changes, get the master password done, start working on it. But the fact that we've got all these other layers of protection allows that if they did happen to get in through something, we at least have these multi-layers to protect us. And I think that's the one thing with us when we're trying to, work with agencies on this and agents, is making sure that they understand that, like, this is the idea, is to cover multiple aspects of it. So if one part goes down, we've got others that are basically looking for or scanning or working on the computers.
I was talking to my wife the other night because we've had some, now that we are new homeowners, constantly got sales reps trying to sell us a home security system. And we have like a Ring doorbell and all that stuff, but I haven't quite bought into it yet because it's a pretty small house and we don't look like we're rolled in the dough. And I told her, I was like, if somebody breaks into our house, they can take my MacBook, a guitar, and if they really want to haul out a bunch of furniture, they can. But I said, we need to make sure that our like cyber stuff is secure because that's like where all our money is and all of our assets are truthfully, they're online for the most part. Um, all of our financial assets, everything is online. So that's actually more, in my opinion, what needs to be
Right.
protected because like you'd have to be quite motivated to break into my house and haul out furniture. Not saying someone won't try to do it, but like that's not where the money is. It's online. So, something to consider. Um, so do you guys have any stories maybe you'd
Right.
share about like you
You
talked
hit it.
about cyber
Absolutely.
extortion, anything that's been going on, maybe funny, you guys just kind of chuckled or like what are some things you could share of what's going on out there?
Yeah, it's always in how scared you want to get, right? We sometimes get asked, "Hey, can you share some stories?" And but not too scary, right? But I will tell you some. We'll do some scary uh, and some simple ones at the same time. So let's talk about one most recently where it was in the middle of Wisconsin, and a cyber hacker had identified that there was an insurance agent who had been sending out RFPs, right? So through a simple breach, this agent went into the airport, and while at the airport, they logged into the public Wi-Fi at the airport. That gave the hacker who had put something in front of that Wi-Fi connection, who was able to get into that computer and get into their email within a matter of minutes. I'm talking minutes into the email. Got their login and credentials for their email. Got in their email and went ahead and built a web page, took all of the logos, took all of their contact information, even the image of the agent, right? Because it's in their signature, and rebuilt an email and a web landing page and said, "Hey, check out this RFP, or can you have a comment on it?" And started going through all the sent emails inside the email box and started a new email chain and sent them one at a time. So it wasn't even a BCC, right? It was literally like send an email one at a time, having people click onto a legit web page, landing page, which included a link that said, hey, go ahead and download the RFP here. You click on another link and it's inside a calendar. Okay, so they click on another link and then says, to download this, put in your login and password. So people thought you put in your email address, your email box, login and password in order to get this. Once that happened, you actually gave the bad guy more login and passwords to get into more emails. So a whole ring of insurance agents end up giving over their credentials within a matter of a week.
All right, so he's at the airport. He's logging on to the public Wi-Fi. They're able to get in. What should have happened? How should this have been handled?
Yep, a couple different things. First of all, if you go with a VPN or virtual private network on the device and you had no choice but to use the public Wi-Fi in order to do business, at least if you're going through a virtual private network or VPN like Cyberfin's, it's actually going to go to our private servers first before it goes out to whatever website or whatever they're trying to get into. It would have notified right away to say, oh, look, this is a spoofed or this is a fake Wi-Fi connection, or there's somebody on top of this Wi-Fi connection, and it actually won't let you connect to the network. Right, it'll actually block you from getting onto it. Second of all, this wonderful thing in our pockets called mobile devices right now can act as a hotspot too. So if you use a combination of your own hotspot with the VPN, no one else is trying to get into your internet connection. And because we all use the internet to get into our emails from at this point, that it's a safe private network that's getting into the email. Then on top of that, with layered security, if let's say the VPN failed for whatever reason, at least the email would have caught, right? The email protection would have caught that email trying to be infiltrated on the way back, right? So it would show that there was a bad link somewhere. It would show that, hey, this email just doesn't seem right. Maybe we should look at, it might put a quarantine email in somebody else's email box, or it might actually shut off the credentials from that standpoint of it, being able to get into the email, right? If it's coming from a new place of being able to sign in and you did have two-factor authentication, the bad guy would have been thwarted because it wouldn't have been able to get into the email, something to those effects. So this layered security is really the best way that you can protect it. And as an insurance agency owner, so this wasn't the owner, right? This was one of the reps. As an agency owner, you can know and feel good because you have layered security around the user itself, right? So although you're putting cybersecurity in your organization, we're actually putting cybersecurity around that individual user wherever they are. So they have their own personal cybersecurity with layers. That way you can feel and sleep better at night because that person out there in the marketplace doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? Trying to grow a business and trying to, make a successful agency and help people is out there, but they're cyber secure even though they're not in the office.
Well, that was pretty interesting. What about another story? Maybe like a small business? Do you guys have an example of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually came from one of our insurance agency partners. They sent over a customer to us who had recently been hacked through email again. And what had happened was they had gotten into the email address of the controller. And the controller of that small construction company sends out invoices manually, PDF, via email. The hacker had been actually into that person's email address for months. Started learning the patterns, went in, redid an invoice in the exact same format, but changed the banking information of where the ACH payments should go, or the payment address even to go to. They changed it. They resent all the invoices for that same month. So the invoices went out, let's say it was in November, and then a week later, they sent them again saying, oops, sorry, that we sent you the wrong invoice. You need to update your banking information. You need to update your, where you're sending the payments to over 100 customers. And there were a number of those customers who sent the payments to the new obviously the new address and the new banking information, meaning that that small business could no longer collect those funds, if you will, right? So it's not like, hey, my credit card got hacked and now I can just, go to the credit card company and say, hey, look, I didn't make these charges. There's no way of getting that money back. There's no way of being able to say, hey, you still have to pay me, right? So they're just out those funds. It also took down that controller over a week and a half to be able to clean up everything that had happened and all the different changes. So it actually shut down the ability for lots of different roles that controller does on a day-to-day basis, meaning that they lost a lot of productivity as well. And it really just created a bunch of problems with their customers just from a reputation standpoint. And that's why the agent had not only, they wanted to make sure that the customer was okay, but they also wanted to find a way that we could at least give the confidence to the to their customer base that, hey, this has been taken care of. Hey, look, there's people here helping them, and you can feel confident still doing business with this construction company.
One thing I was just going to comment. So one thing with the online portal stuff is, if they are in your system, and so like let's just use like the e-app as an example. If they're in your system and they are able to hack on to, let's say, iPipeline or iGo, they have, even though that data is stored securely on their servers, if they can get through your computer, they have access to all of it, which then, even though it's stored there securely, it's actually still on you as that individual from a security standpoint. So that's one thing I want to I think in our industry, there's a lot of right now information going around where they're saying, hey, these third parties are secure. They are secure from the hack, but it's not securing your data if they can get through your computer to that information. This got brought up here recently as we were talking about iGo, and we were going through that part. And so why it's so important to secure your computer is that all that data is accessible through your computer.
Yeah, so agents, you are handling a lot of confidential information. Thankfully, if let's say you're a Medicare agent, if you're using a platform like Sunfire Matrix, which we offer, Simply Enroll, they're the ones that have the liability. Technically, if you enter data into their system, like a social security number, you are now offsetting the risk to them in that situation. Same with Health Sherpa, same with the drop ticket on our life insurance software. But you also have CRMs. You also have email communications. A lot of you are storing data in all kinds of different ways. In that situation, the liability is on your business to protect that data. If you're putting it in any kind of third party or storing it on your own, this is very, very important stuff. Like I gave the analogy earlier, in the past, we may have worried about putting our assets in a safe and making sure we've got a lot of security around our home. Now, all of that information, all those assets tend to be on online portals. So I guess a good way to pivot at this point would be, give us the pitch for Cyberfin, what all you guys do for agents, and how we can learn more about you.
So our mission at Cyberfin is to protect as many insurance agencies and financial planners as we can and their customers through a cybersecurity service, right? And what a cybersecurity service does is it provides the tools, the technology, and the talent to make sure that you're protected. No matter where that data is going, where you're storing it, what it might be, we are going to protect you the best that we possibly can to protect you and that data. We also include compliance services that go along with it because as a Medicare rep, if you didn't know, you are subject to HIPAA compliance from their data security model, as well as NAIC and probably a lot of states too, because that's the other big news in 2023 is a lot of the states are now going to require you be up to regulatory standards of the NAIC, and that is that you have reasonable cybersecurity in place, and that you report an incident within a certain time frame. Longest being 30 days, shortest being 48 hours, depending on the state that you're in. But I digress. Cyberfin is a cybersecurity service where we're going to do it for you, right? We're going to manage, remediate, protect. We're going to do it all for you so that you don't have to. So you don't have to worry about what technology should I be signing up for? What's the tools that I should have in place? How do I manage these tools? How do I keep a budget? We're going to do it all for you, right? All on an easy way of getting onboarded, a very easy and simple way in the way that we price on a per user, per month model. So as you scale or up or down as your season does or your business does, you're not having to write big checks in order for to get it up and running, right? We're going to be able to spread that out for you. We're also going to be able to grow with you so that we make sure that as your business changes, as you're going into, we've talked to a lot of the Brokerage Inc. agents, that work with Cyberfin. They're going into Walmarts, they're going into people's kitchens, they're having to go into different areas. They have their own employees going into different places, and they want to make sure that they can sleep better at night, that they know that they have that layered protection on each one of those devices and users to make sure that they can just do business freely. So they can worry just about making sure that all of the all the people that they work with get the insurance and get the support that they need, not having to worry about who's trying to get their credentials and who's trying to take down their agency at that particular time. So that's what Cyberfin does in a nutshell.
No, the one thing I just wanted to mention why I was talking about that, like with the EAP systems and online systems, I think that's where we see right now there's such a big disconnect in the market. And that's what we're trying to explain to people is that these third-party companies that are securing the data, they are secure, but the agents accessing them are not. And I think that's the stuff that scares. That's what keeps me up at night when I look at these. Is I'm like, if they're on that system, they got access to everything, And so I brought up like the iGo EAP stuff. I mean, take an agent that writes an app a week or every couple of weeks. I mean, you can access all the forms, all the social security numbers, everything. And most of the time, it's not even a two-factor to get into that system. And so once they're on the computer, they have access to all of it. So, agency block, all that stuff, if it's accessed by the computer, it can all be looked at.
So Daniel, tell us about, I think you guys know of an agency that actually maybe even went bankrupt because they didn't have cybersecurity in place. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So there was an agency in the middle of America. They had been around for over 20 plus years. They were under the same impression that a lot of agents are. As long as I put all of my information, all my customers' information inside a tool, right, a online tool, that it's all secure and that I'm protected. Well, it turned out that months before, they had clicked on a link in an email and given up their credentials without them even knowing it, right? Never even thought about it. They'd been in this one particular place, they'd been entering about 20 to 25 applications a month. Went on vacation, a long vacation, 5 days. And on a Friday evening, they come home sometimes on a Monday. On a Friday evening, 25,000 applications were entered and removed, right? Sent, emailed to themselves through this website, this web portal. All 25 of those records were sold on the dark web. It was brought to this agency's attention that, the agency just thought, just like they would, right? Hey, look, this is on them. I was just using their system. All of that data was inside their system. They'll be on that computer system, that carrier, for them to take care of this. Not true. Both the cyber liability insurance, the government agencies, and the company itself all said you were liable. The agency was liable. Based on the fines, the remediation, what it was going to cost them, just what they're going to have to do for their customer base at the end user, they couldn't afford to, for all of those different things to come together, and they went bankrupt. All on just a simple email and a simple click and a couple of keystrokes, and thinking that false sense of security that, oh, hey, just because I put all this information inside there, that I'm no longer liable.
So if that wasn't a selling point enough, guys, I don't know what is. I mean, I don't think you're in this to go bankrupt. So,
right.
Well, guys, I think by wrapping up here, let's give a call to action to our folks. We do have a unique URL with Cyberfin. It's Cyberfin, like a shark, cyberfin.net/thebrokerageinc. Again, that's cyberfin.net/thebrokerageinc. That's kind of our unique landing page, but I'm sure a lot of folks will have questions for you guys. A lot of people aren't ready to sign up for a service without talking to you. So what should they do? Tell us about your process.
Yep, no problem. So right now they can email us at protectme@cyberfin.net. That's protectme@cyberfin.net, or they can call our general line 612-888-0032. And at any time, we are offering a no obligation, no charge cyber self check, where we will go and find all the gaps and vulnerabilities that they have as far as an agency is concerned. We'll give them advice on how they can fill those gaps and determine if Cyberfin or some other solution is a good solution for them to fill those gaps. And we're here for them because we want to make sure that every agency, you heard our mission, right? Our mission is to go out and try to protect as many agency owners and financial planners and their customers as possible, up to around the world.